Like, when you're talking about interpersonal relationships in any social context, you have boundaries that that need to be adhered to respect another individual. When you overstep those boundaries, you have this tension, this conflict, and stuff like that. And those are readily apparent, when you're dealing with people out there in the wider world, and everybody recognizes that. You don't like, oh well, I see this girl at this club, she's rather attractive, I'm just going to go straight up to her and put my tongue down her throat just because she looks good to me. Is okay. That's not acceptable behavior, Chris. Well, why not? I felt like doing it. You got to understand there's certain boundaries and limitations on your behavior. It's like, okay, yeah, I know. Like, I probably wouldn't like that if somebody did it to me. Like, even if it was like an attractive woman walked up and did that to me, I'd be like kind of weirded out. Maybe I was like, what the hell's going on? Or what's the agenda here? Or was like, that's not something that typically people do. It's just not something that's quite right. I may enjoy it, but it's like, it's like, it would be on some level, it'd be like, okay, this is out of order. This is out of, people understand that. And then that's something that they want to have. They want people to respect their boundaries and their personal space and stuff like that. It's just a natural thing. Okay, when you get into this abstraction of government, where are the boundaries, and how are they defined, and how far does their authority extend? Once you accept this authority over you, how far can they reach into your life, and where are the established boundaries, and how are those boundaries defined? Well, it's always in flux. It's always in constant flux. I mean, we just talked about it earlier. It's like I could carry a knife around freely, and now I can't. So Daddy told me I can't now, and he makes the rules.
Yeah,
and
Daddy
it's like,
government.
Okay, so how far does Daddy get to go? If you're in a dysfunctional household, and you have parents that don't respect boundaries of their children,
He'll go
well,
far.
you get all kinds of psychological damage and stuff as a result of that, because it's not in line with nature. It's not in line with human nature. It's out of order. It's out of bounds. You don't have a parent encroach on you sexually as a child, even though it's like your child. You don't do that. You're overstepping boundaries. This conceptualization of government, it's like, who defines those boundaries? We have this relationship with this entity, this abstract entity. Where are the boundaries, and who defines them? Well, the entity itself defines them. And they're ever expanding out their definition of what is acceptable for them to do and what's not. It's always ever increasing encroachments. And it's like, well, in what other context, in any kind of interpersonal relationship, do you have anybody inside of you where you get to define the boundaries and you get to change them and restructure them on a regular basis? Nothing. See, what I'm getting at is like, none of it corresponds with the natural order. None of it is deferential to the natural order. It's all artificial, arbitrary, and it doesn't have any boundaries because they're only defined and set by this abstract entity, and whoever these powers that be actually are the ones that define that.
It's a win-lose dialectic.
How is that legitimate?
It's a win-lose dialectic.
But once you accept it, Once you accept the authority, who are you to tell them that they can't look up your butt or whatever they want to do as a part of a routine traffic stop or something like that? I'm just using that as an example because that seems like the most extreme violation probably you can think of. And it's like, okay, who are you to say, hey, man, are you going to start speaking up then? If it came down to that, or will you say you'll still kind of refer back to this necessity of this thing called government and keep deferring to it because there's no boundaries, man. I'm telling you, there's nothing to stop the further ever creeping encroachment of this abstraction, because there is nothing about it that corresponds to the natural order. And we've already accepted that. So you really don't have a leg to stand on when you start opposing it down the line. Because, okay, where's your precedent for opposing it now? Every time something's pointed out, you can defer to, well, yeah, maybe the Jews took over and that's why it's so bad. Well, what are you going to do about it? You can't do anything about it. You've already it's kind of the foot in the door concept that's in marketing and everything else. Well, once you accept this, then you got to accept this. Well, see, it starts at its inception. Once you accept the abstraction called government, it never ends. The encroachments will never stop, and the power that they have over people is going to just continue to increase. That's the only way it can go, because you're dealing with something that's arbitrary and artificial, and that has no correspondence to the natural order of things. That's what I'm trying to get at.